Hey everyone, it's Eric Jubeck and Lauren Jubeck here with Brickentide Home Group. Today we're spending a few minutes with our good friend and lender partner, Stephen Brock from Family Mortgage. We're sitting down with Stephen for a few minutes because this coming weekend we have Veterans Day upon us. And Stephen, being a veteran and an expert in VA loans, we just wanted to spend a few minutes to pick his brain and hear about that wonderful benefit for our military service members.
So you guys may hear a little bit of background noise. We do have our two toddlers and our infant here with us. And Stephen, why don't you just go ahead and give us a little bit about yourself and your time spent in the military?
Yeah, I'm Stephen Brock with Family Mortgage, and I got the kids too, but not today, so I'm lucky on that end. But yeah, I was in the Army 9 years. I was in infantry on a sniper group and long reconnaissance team. After that, I got into the mortgage side of things. I should say the mortgage side of things, but got into mortgages, and I've never looked back since then. So I'm very immersed into the VA loan. I think it's the best loan that's out there. I might be a little biased on that end, but I still think it is. And he agrees.
He agrees, yeah, that's Benny. All right, so we've heard before about how great the VA loan program is compared to a lot of other loan products out there. And what we found amazing is we did some, research into some of the statistics around the VA loan benefit and, how many veterans or active duty service members actually use them. And one of the statistics that came up for us was roughly about 33% of veterans are even aware of their VA loan benefit. Have you heard that before? Is that something that kind of is normal for you?
Yeah, I will say that. I mean, it's the older generation of veterans that don't really realize it, that they have it. The newer generation, I say newer, like September 11, post-September 11 generation, it was kind of really instilled in us in our training, classes that we have done throughout the military that you do have this benefit. But before, nobody really talked about it at all.
Okay.
Okay, it was there, maybe, and they just totally forget about it. So there is a huge part of our community that has never used it. I mean, I just recently have done somebody that they were 72 first time they've ever used their VA loan.
Wow.
Like they've had conventional loans left and right. They never used their VA loan at all.
Yeah, and that actually brings us into another stat we looked up, which is, on average, only about 12% of eligible veterans, active duty service members, actually end up using their VA loan benefits. Only 12% that are eligible. Is that, your experience, kind of what you see out there?
Yeah, it's a huge deficit that we see that most people just don't ever tap into it. And it's not that they aren't getting mortgages in general. It's just a lot of, I say there might be somebody that's maybe steering them away. Could be the benefit of it, or the what's happening with it, and they're just not realizing that they have that benefit out there to actually use.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I understand that, and with that, I was surprised to see part of my research that some stats out there say that on average, maybe about 80%, up to about 80% of veterans would not normally qualify for a conventional loan. I'm assuming it's whether income level or payment history or credit score, whatever the case may be. But to me, it just seems like there'd be so many more that could benefit through the VA loan program and have a harder time getting some of the other loan products. Like, is that something you've seen before or experienced as well?
It can be, because technically VA loan has no bottom credit line. So there's no credit score that we, it's up to each company what they're going to have that risk on. But the VA does not say, hey, you have to have a 600 or 620 or whatever. There is no credit score minimum.
It's just the lender overlays.
Exactly. Where you got conventional and FHA where they do have a minimum with it. The other aspect is that there's a lot higher debt to income ratio that's allowed, and conventional usually will stop tapping out around 45 to 49%, and then FHA is about 57. Well, with VA, you can go even higher than that because it doesn't go off of just your debt to income. It goes off of your residual income. What's your affordability?
Okay.
So it's an actually more in-depth number that it can be that you can actually afford than being just restricted to, hey, this is what income you have and this is what's on your credit report. So there's just a lot more flexibility, because what we're looking for is what do you have afterwards per month and what do you need to live off of with that kind of thing.
Wow. Yeah, so it seems to me like more veterans should be taking advantage of the benefit. It's amazing. I know like one of the things that comes up, people talk about the VA loan and probably hear from, other people in the real estate industry, whether it's lenders or agents or whatever, trying to maybe steer them or deter them from taking advantage of the VA loan benefit. And it often comes around with something like they're hard to get or they're complicated. One of the things that I found in the research was it says about 15% of VA loans don't actually close, but from my experience or my knowledge, that seems to be kind of like industry standard for a lot of other loan products too. Like, can you speak on that, or do you have any, say if that's, true or not?
It's more on the lender. It's loans not closing is strictly on the lender. How much did they get up for the pre-approval process? How much stuff was uncovered? So, I mean, it could be any type of loan that if you don't have a lender that's doing their due diligence up front, it's not going to close on time or not close at all. I think it's in our statistics that we use that it's over 70% of the time loans don't close on time or at all.
Right.
That people, what the terms were at the beginning, they're not even closing at all with that term. So, like I said, it's just straight on the lender of what they're doing. If you don't have a great lender taking care of things up front, you're going to have a bad ending with it all.
Nice. That's like a fact check where it's like false VA loans are not
Yes.
hard to get or more complicated. And it's funny because, I was just talking with my brother, part of, just researching this and getting more awareness. And, my brother, he's also Army, served between, active duty and reserves up to 11 years. And I was asking him about his thoughts. And this was a comment he made back to me. He said, I'll be going down that road eventually, but going through the VA loan, there's a lot of hoops. Like, that was literally like his response to me is, from his perspective, a veteran, he feels like the VA loan program requires a lot of hoops to jump through just to be able to get one of their loans. So is that like a common way of thinking that you've experienced out there?
It is common. I mean, really, besides any other loan, the biggest two things that are out there is your certificate of eligibility, which you have to get up front, which
Right.
is, are you even eligible to have this loan? Depending on when people served, if it's post 9/11, that's why I said it's a little easier post 9/11. A lot of it's in the system. I put in their social,
Right.
their birthday, and it spits it out in like 2 seconds. Now, if you have somebody that's 70s and 80s, that a lot of things were done by paper, now you're trying to get the paperwork all settled, and you might be reaching out to different government entities to get that. So it could take a little bit longer for that process. So that can be a hoop, but it's one that should be done right away, not where they're halfway down the road. Because once you send it up to the VA, they usually respond back if it needs more paperwork within like 1 to 2 business days, saying this is what we need. Now, trying to track down your reserve or your National Guard time from the 70s and 80s from that unit, that's the harder part, and that's the hoop you might have to jump through if you don't have the paperwork yourself. If you have it, and it's not eligible. What's the word? You can read it. Legible. Legible.
Yeah.
If it's legible and we can send that in, that could be your proof right there with it. The other aspect is the appraisal or the inspections. I hear that all the time. Like, okay, what inspections are we looking for? Well, of course, we're looking for the WDO, make sure there's no termites or wood-destroying organisms, which includes, wood rot and fungus and stuff like that.
Right.
And then the rest of the appraisal side is looking for just safety hazards. They want to make sure the veteran is coming into this home and there's no safety hazards for them. People don't realize that this is the only loan that the government actually guarantees the lender 25% of the loan. So even if they, for some reason, get foreclosed on, the lender is getting their money back for sure because they're going to be able to sell the house, and then the government's going to give them at least 25% of
Correct.
it.
And I actually just had a friend, she's exploring her VA benefit, and that was one of her hoops. So she's like, oh man, it's so difficult between the appraisal and the inspection. And I said, well, it's kind of a good and bad thing. For them to do their due diligence, it helps you out in buying a sound home and making sure that all the things are buttoned up and taken care of. So realistically, like, let them be a little bit hard and difficult in that regard, because it's going to benefit you as a homeowner later on down the road when you're not making all those crazy repairs that you might have just kind of overlooked with a different mortgage program.
Exactly. And I mean, a lot of it, like I said, is wood rot, so that's usually an easy fix. Cut it out, put a new piece of wood in, whatever the case is. That's usually what we see with it. I mean, I've seen sometimes there's broken windows, which, you know, you just have it replaced. But a couple of years ago, it used to be only anybody but the buyer, the veteran, could pay for these things to be fixed. Well, now the buyer can pay for it, so they can have things fixed on their own to be able to close the house. Where before, you had to go to the seller or the realtor or anybody else in that transaction saying, hey, I can't pay for it, but these need to be fixed.
Right. And I mean,
there are going to be things that come up, you know, for insurance purposes too. So they're major things that even insurance is going to come back and say with any kind of loan, like, hey, you have a broken window on this report, like, we're not going to insure it as much as well as if it wasn't broken.
And that was going to be my kind of follow-up to it is, you know, hearing these things, it doesn't really sound like the inspection requirements or condition of the home is really any more stringent than other loan products, such as like an FHA loan, for example, right? Like, you're still going to have a lot of these things, you know, covered and in good condition in order for the lender to fund the loan.
Exactly. I mean, that's what we're looking for. It's a livable house for the veteran. There's no major safety issues.
Yeah.
Same thing we would be looking at any other kind of home. You know, I've had somebody recently come and like, hey, can you do a home with no air conditioning? And I'm like, it doesn't work or it's not there. It's two different things. They're like, oh, it doesn't work. And I'm like, it's considered a safety hazard if it doesn't work. So, like, even a regular conventional is going to say no. Right. You basically have to go for a loan on that to get it to work. And most of those might even say no, too. Because just in Florida or anywhere, you know, moisture gets in, no AC working, like that can completely ruin the house.
Yeah, you definitely want to have your air conditioning working in Florida.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we need that operational here for sure. Cool. I mean, is there anything else? I mean, obviously the process seems very straightforward. That certificate of eligibility, the COE, I mean, I know they can go online and file for that. I've also heard that a lot of lenders will even do that on a veteran's behalf too. Like, you have the ability to also try and help them, you know, pull that certificate. Is that true?
Yeah, we can pull it. It's very easy for us to do it. Like I said, it takes 2 seconds to put in their information and see what comes back. The biggest thing is that they're already in the system. If all their documentation is in the system, the VA system, then it's quick and easy. If not, then you have to get the other paperwork to support that they are eligible.
Yeah, and that's just like any of the other loan items, conditions that are going to be, you know, required to get met anyways. You just produce an extra paperwork. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, I mean, to us, it sounds like there's a lot of veterans and active duty service members that should be taking advantage of the VA loan benefit that are not, clearly, since only about 12% actually end up using the benefit. So I'm glad, you know, you're obviously able to give us a little more insight. It sounds like it shouldn't be a scary loan product by any means for any veteran to shy away from. Is that a pretty accurate, you know, summary of it?
Exactly. Honestly, it is the most forgiving and the easiest loan to do out of all of them. What underwriting is looking for besides a safety issue is just the income. And like I said, there's no credit score, so it's really depending on the person individually and then what they have. But even if they have some things in their credit that's not great, there's stuff that we can kind of overlook and still get a loan.
Right, and that also brings up another point for me too. You said it's actually forgiving, and isn't it true that the rate is also more favorable on VA loans right now? I mean, we're in this like incredibly high rate, you know, high interest rate environment in the real estate industry, and you're hearing all these different things about buy downs and different ways to try and lower your rate. But here we are. I mean, what is a VA loan product going for today compared to, you know, like a conventional FHA loan?
They're usually if you're just across the board, an 8 to a quarter point lower, you usually see them. What's also the benefit is, you know, a lot of people are like, okay, I'm going to buy the house, I'm okay with this payment now, and in the future I'll refinance, and it's kind of the cherry on top because we know that home prices aren't coming down, so they're going to continue to go up. But if new rates do come down, they can refi. Well, on a VA loan, you can do a VA IRRRL where you're just basically redoing the terms. You're not taking cash out. You're just redoing terms of the loan. So getting a lower rate and then, of course, extending out the terms of the next 30 years is the easiest refinance that there is. It's, do you have a job? Yes. We think your house is worth this much. Correct. No appraisal. All right, here's your new loan. That is it.
Yeah, that's the interest rate reduction loan, right? The Earl.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like in the future, it's a lot of paperwork to get your VA loan or any loan up front. And you're like, oh, now I got to do it again in a year or two when I refinance. Not on a VA Earl. It's just quick and easy. Doesn't take long at all. No appraisal. We don't even check for verification of employment. It's just, do you have that job? Yes, I have the job. We basically show the credit report of, here's your current mortgage. That's all we show on it. And then this is, as long as you drop, it's a half a point. You have to drop a half a point or a certain amount of money per month to qualify for it. But I mean, half a point's going to do it.
Yeah. I mean, everything that I'm hearing today just sounds like more people should be taking advantage of the VA loan benefits. So we're going to keep trying to do the best we can to educate, all of our active duty and veterans out there about, why they should be taking advantage of the VA loan benefit. As our children are making all types of noise.
They're
in the
making
back.
noise because they're excited.
Exactly, they're excited about the VA loan too. Yeah. But no, we, thank you for taking the time, answering a couple questions, giving us a little more insight into the VA loan benefit. And, we'll make sure we put your contact information and any of the links for the video too. Any last words for us on the VA loan program or the benefit that the veterans have?
Just reach out and to kind of see where you're at with it. I always tell people at least 6 months before you're actually going to buy, because it gives you plenty of time. If there's anything that we need to, go over beforehand, we can. You don't want to be like, oh, I got to move in 2 months and then we can't track down some National Guard paperwork or something like that. So you have plenty of time. And one of the biggest myths that are out there is you can only use it one time. And that is not true. Right. You can use it multiple times, and you can have 2 VA loans actually at the same time if you have enough eligibility left over from using the first
entitlement, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, Stephen, thank you for being a good friend, great lender for us. And, of course, thank you for your service and dedicating to our military and, continuing to serve those in the military by helping others take advantage of their VA loan benefits. So we appreciate it. Appreciate you. And I hope you have a great Veterans Day this weekend.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
Take care. I can't wait to hear all of the absolute chaos.
Recording stopped.
Right? Yeah, and you're in a nice office, and we're here with toddlers and infant rolling around, making noise in the background. No big deal.
Yeah.
Right?
The best of the world.
Probably have to say that.
Yeah. And we just wanted to have Steven sit down with us and talk a little bit about VA loans.
We also have our kids in the background because we wouldn't be parents without our 2 toddlers and our infant. So you guys are going to have to excuse all the little bit of background noise, but hopefully we can get it done.
Oh, jeez.
So at least we got that part. We can cut that out.
Exactly. Yep. All right, I'll try it again.
Okay, go.
As soon as Lauren's back on the screen.
Okay, go.
Ben and Ethan, what are you guys doing? They're literally tackling each other on the couch. They're trying to go.
They're probably quiet all day until you do this. And
Okay,
exactly.
Go.
So.
Go ahead. All right. This is going to be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I'm definitely using this part of this.
Exactly. Yeah. Good thing we're still recording all this for all your blooper reels.
Yeah, I'm right. I haven't had a good blooper reel in a while.
Yep.